Well, I'm standing at a dividing line in a cemetery. To the right, New Hope Baptist Church Cemetery. To the left, Mountain Grove Cemetery. Where's that? Mountain Grove Cemetery. And this is New Hope Baptist Church Cemetery. Now you go online and look up New Hope Baptist Church, you'll find it in Pumpkintown. It's a new modern church. But they paid these idiots $500 a hit to get GPS readings on every cemetery they could find. They claim on their website and all their documents that New Hope and all these people here were buried there, which is stupid and ridiculous. I hate to tell you, but if you got a college education and you're paid grant money, you're right where you are or not. But they were buried bad wrong. This is New Hope. If you look out through there, you'll see depressions where graves have sunk over the years. A lot of them were Native Americans. Now we're going to go back to the history of this. There's a William Murphy. Reverend William Murphy started Sacoma Baptist Church, which is in sort of east of Pickens, down Main Street. The people who lived here asked him to come once a month and preach. It was very difficult for them to put the whole family in a wagon and drive in the mud and the snow and whatever. It was difficult then. It's hard for us to imagine. It's just about 4 miles away. It was easier for him to come here on horseback and preach. Now the church itself was sitting right here. They just called it the meeting house. It's long gone. In 1826, Reverend William Murphy moved to Tennessee. Now when he done that, this left these people without a preacher. And I go to that mountain over there, they formed a new church called Mountain Springs. I think it was somewhere in the 1840s. It disbanded and they came back here and formed Mountain Grove. It's the same group of people. Alrighty, with 3 different churches. Now, this is known as the Barton Plot. Let's try to get a good shot of this. This is my wife's ancestor, Benjamin Barton, Benjamin Franklin Barton. He was in the Revolution. He was a paper clerk. He's one of the few people in this area at that time that actually could read and write. So he got an easy job during the Revolution. Lordy. And this is his wife, Dorcas Anderson. There's a nice tale on that. He was in this blockhouse where he worked, and she would come down and nurse soldiers that had been wounded. It was called Earl's Fort. And him and her met there and fell in love. But he told her he would absolutely not marry her until he knew he survived the war. Well, he did. The first thing he done is hightailed it up to her home and married her. Her father, John Anderson, was killed in the war, by the way. Now this is about the only Barton that they'll recognize here in Pickens County because he had money. This is Bailey Barton, Esquire. Man, he's a lawyer. His father sent him to school, which is unusual at that time. I think it went off up in Maryland somewhere to go to college. And yes, he learned how to be a lawyer and big businessman. He made a ton of money. Born February the 5th of 1795 and died 4th of February 1847. He owned this land. That's how they become to be buried here. They went to church here part-time. He went to church here. And this was their little family plot. Now, I don't know if there's any graves right in here. They should be, but this is his son-in-law, Griffin Brazil. Born 18, I can't really make it out, and died in 1850 in October. Griffin was married to Bailey's daughter, Elizabeth. Very controversial figure and a well-known ghost in this area. She married again to Lordy, maybe I'll think of his name here in a minute. But she got married again. Moses Murphy and was the brother of Reverend William Murphy, and they started a program to help the Native Americans in this area after the war. I'm stepping on a grave area. You see it where it's sunk? Here's another one. A lot of these graves was marked, and they took up the stones because they didn't like being in the way of their mowing. I'm sorry, but that was that place. I don't like their decision, but it's theirs. Here, looky here. Probably a child. Anyway, they after the Revolution, there was a lot of old women, young children, old men, all the young men in the Cherokees and had been killed in the war, fighting along with the British. These two men felt sorry for them, and they started ministering to them and helping them get food. And they tried their best to convert them to Christianity. So there's a good many of them buried right in here, which is good old Pickens County and their historical society. There's only two people they'd recognize. Benjamin Haygood and Bailey Barton. Why? Money. Anyway, over in here somewhere, marked, I think it's right here. Marked the property line was called the Barton Ditch. Nobody knows what it was used for, but it went from here to the Fields family home, where it ended. The Fields were the in-laws of Bailey Barton. He married Jane Fields. And his wife, by the way, she took off to Georgia. Didn't particularly like the dude. Which leads to another story, Mildred Field. These are more modern graves. The Alvarilla is Anthony Fields. Alvarilla married another Field. There's Alvarilla Barton, Bailey Barton's sister. She married Sergeant Griffin. They were the big slave owners here in Pickens County at that time. And there's a big family fight started. This guy's brothers and a couple of his sisters became Methodists and started condemning slavery. But him and Sergeant Griffin wanted to keep it going at all costs. They wanted to make that money. That's all what it's all about, money. The easy way to make it. This guy was a very sadistic person. He loved to beat people, but him being a lawyer, he couldn't do that. He's also a state representative. He couldn't go around beating white people, so he just bought him some black folks to beat. This is the guy that gives slavery a bad name. You go back to Benjamin Haygood, he had slaves, but he knew they were human. He provided for them. Unless they done something awfully bad wrong, he'd go around beating them. This guy just picked him out a couple every morning and flew into beating them, whether they done anything or not, because he loved it. They say his daughter Elizabeth even killed one. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm a descendant of this guy, Benjamin Barton's brother, David. And there's tales about him being in the Revolution, but nobody can prove it. There ain't no records. It's a marvelous place, but well misunderstood. I'd give anything for our historians to get together and do something right for a change. Bailey Barton homed right over in there. And that's another, he had 12 renter homes. And one of those was over in this direction. You can find newspaper articles. I had a newspaper article on that house that said that's where Bailey Barton lived. It's possible he might have lived there toward when he died, but his house and his home was right over in there for long back, and it still exists. Yeah, it sure does. He built it in the 1820s for him and his wife. His father-in-law, John Field, gave him all this land. Just give it to him for a wedding present. Wasn't that nice of him? Benjamin here gave Bailey a bunch of land on East Toy River. It's the old Lemons community. Most of this guy's children ended up in Pickens Courthouse out on the Kiwi River. They got rich and wanted to live like kings in the big city. Which that was the only big thing that even looked like a big city then. Ooh, wee. Is a nice piece of land. Somebody be doing the archaeological work over there one of these days. Won't that be said? Yeah, Lord, I wish somebody would stick up a sign down here that said New Hope Baptist Church Cemetery, but they won't do it. Probably never will. They come quick to tell you they wouldn't know such thing. But there was a lady who wrote a book all about the Mountain Grove and its history, and she's got all that in there. Her name is Essie Porter. She's a very smart lady that, like me, she worked in a textile mill, so people wouldn't recognize her ability. She's got a daughter though was a doctor, and she wrote a book. You can find most of the facts in here in her book on Mountain Grove. And so I ain't just making this up, folks. It's fact. Me and my son restored that thing. It got hit by a lightning. I mean, there's an old Indian tale that says if a grave gets hit by a lightning over and over and over, it's a very bad person built there. But I know where there's 2 or 3. That's marble from Georgia. And I know where there's several of these graves that had been hit by lightning. I just wonder if that marble attracts lightning or something more than the evil part. But He could be construed as evil. Well, it's a fascinating place to be, something for a guy that likes the cemeteries. Yeah. I think me and my son done a pretty good job of putting that back together. Need to work on it some more. Needs to be polished. That's still pretty when it's polished. Hey, butterfly. Anyway, we'll go through this section some. There's some lads. There's other founding families in this area. Reese's on land. I bought the land over there and lived right over in that section. Porters are one of the ones. They first come here in one of Bailey's renter houses. There's one of them. There's a house down here that's put together wooden pins, and I think it was probably one of those homes. I'm sure it was. I knew where one was. It was torn down. They all had a. And there's the one right here that was torn down. They was all long homes. Unusually long, you know, narrow. Bailey owned a sawmill. First lumber in there is cut. He done it. So the first frame homes were built from his lumber in this area. Everybody else had log cabins, even him. What he lived in, log cabin. Oh, there's graves all over here. I think Mark's sinking in. Alrighty, this is my third cousin, Thomas Mason, 1824, September 8, 1944. He was killed in Italy in World War II. That's his government marker. That's his sister Connie. She was killed in a T-model Ford accident. She was riding in that Ford with her boyfriend, and it turned over and the mirror went through her. Katie Lee, 29. She didn't live long. And this is their mother and father, Harrison W. Mason and May P. Mason. May was my second cousin. She was a Pearson. She was my great aunt, Caroline Katie Turner. She was her daughter, the only daughter she had. They was big Ku Klux Klan people. I guess I might not ought to say that, but they was. They run the Klan here for a while in the 60s. They lived above us, and I hated hearing that crap. I don't believe in that bull, but they did. Of course, it's kind of strange. She got down in her 90s and had to go in a nursing home, and they took her off down the country and put her in a nursing home that's full of black people and run by black people, nurses. And she got to loving the men. She discovered she was wrong, I guess. Good comes in everything. Townses. Bakers. There's a few bakers in here. Most of Bakers are buried in Baker Cemetery. And Lordy, more Bakers. Nicholsons, I don't know nothing about them. Stevens. A lot of people in the Barton family ken the Stevens, including my wife. Well, I'm gonna wrap this up and go home and dump this on the internet if it comes out. Mary Dunn, Manly Mason. That's some more of my Perry Hamlin. He gave or sold his farm to the Masons back there. And they were from Transylvania County. I'm kin to Perry and Mary Dunn. They're my cousins. Perry was a lawyer and rich, and he owned a Duesenberg. I got a picture of him in that Duesenberg some way with his son and grandson. Oh well, I'm gonna wrap it up, folks. Good view of Mountain Grove Church. Some good people go here. Good neighbors.